that many of you heard about many times. And it's just one of those ones, there's probably 100 things, right, that we need to keep on coming back to just to touch base on because they remind us of what's significant. And today we're looking at that, that basic dichotomy between fear and love and what are the futures that are conjured up out of either one. And just a really brief line. Let's look at the fear thing first. This is from the book Secrets of Heaven, 2395. And it says, another objective is for people who lack love to be gripped by fear and therefore hold the Lord off, leading to him in deliverance. And so that's kind of the fear orientation. So when we're lacking love in our lives, we'll come from fear, and God will become sort of like this divine fireman or this divine rescue worker. And maybe there's times for that. The Lord can use that. But it's do you really want a relationship with God or with your kids or with your significant other? Do you really want that to be based on fear? Or wouldn't it be much better to have it be based on love? And that's the whole point. That's where God is getting us. Fear has its role, but it's a small role, and it's a bit role, and it's a role that should play less and less of a role as we grow older and older in our years here on this earth, as we're getting ready for heaven. That stuff should definitely start to shift. So in taking a look at this, friends, we're taking a look at how these shifts work. Now, when you think of fear, you think of when you're all, use my friend Bob Harmon, use his quote here, when you're all feared up. You think about times when you're all feared up. What's the future you envision? And for most of us, it's a pretty catastrophic failure, huge failure. I make the joke that for myself, I know that if I have any fear around money things or a financial thing, I instantly go from 0 to homeless in about 2 seconds. Totally irrational. I'm never going to be homeless. And that idea of that's what fear does. Fear goes to the worst possible future, catastrophizes through and through. On occasion, will those fears become correct? Absolutely. This famous quote, even a clock that has stopped tells the right time twice a day. I think that is very true and important to remember. But that's not the way we want to live our lives, because that's not the axis of advance, the axis of growth. If we're coming from a fear orientation, it's not going to take us to a great place. It's going to get us to live smaller and smaller and smaller and more miserly, miserly in all its connotations, where we're so trying to protect everything against every possible bad thing that can happen that life becomes deeply constricted. Love is something very different. And love really does kind of shift us into a new place, a new way of seeing the world, where fear does this, love does this. And this is from the book. We've been doing this in our book study, book Cherish Belonging. Highly recommend it. Great read. And here he's talking about like working with what he calls homies, gang members in California. And this is what he says. Everyone can get stuck in yesterday and in regret. So he's talking about working with these young men and young women and how much they get into these ifs. Like, well, if only I hadn't gotten in that car. If only I hadn't done that. If only I hadn't done that. And he's saying, look, you know what? You got to accept that those things did happen. And then how do you move on? And this is his point. Beautiful point. We move forward in love because it seems to be the only thing that can conjure up a tomorrow. I love that idea. When we move forward in love, that is what can conjure up a tomorrow. That's so important. Like, look at all the stresses, strains, we're going through as a culture right now. Very real, very true. And if we come from a fear basis, stuff starts to get more and more and more and more inward looking, more and more collapsing in on itself. And the reality is we have to come from love, because love is able to say the hard thing. I want to be clear about that. Like, love is able to make a stand. Love is able to say, this is right, that's wrong. Able to do all those things. And it's a big and love is also able to envision what tomorrow looks like. It's just silly little thing. My 25-year-old son called me because NCAA wrestling, we both really like wrestling. He was a wrestler in high school and loved it. We both love watching NCAA wrestling. We love watching Penn State wrestling. He called, said, Dad, could I bring a friend over for dinner? And we're going to just watch the wrestling championships on Saturday. Of course, I can't say yes fast enough. That is the kind of future that love I have found can conjure up. And it's not that I create it or he creates it or anything like that. It's just this movement, and it's this movement of love that creates these events, and it keeps on throwing these events just on the horizon, event after event after event. And it's just these little loving events again and again and again. And they might not seem like much. Wrestling might not interest you in the least. It may be something that somebody would ask you to do, and you think, that's not very loving. But that's not how we have it in our household. It's so be it, right? But that bit, folks, of like, I guess I want to say this. Like, love asks the question. Love asks the question of what tomorrow can look like and what tomorrow can be. And it's not from like, love asks the question, what could tomorrow be? What could tomorrow be in your family? What could tomorrow be in your relationship with your significant other? What could tomorrow be in your job? What could tomorrow be in your church? What could tomorrow be? What could tomorrow be? Like, it's constantly asking that question, and it's asking it with a smile. What could tomorrow be? So that's kind of the thought for today, friends. Like, allow that question to be asked. Know that love and fear, we're always sort of bouncing back and forth. And as best we can, fear will play its role. It'll have its bit part. So be it. But let's try as we can, as consistently as we can, to course correct back into a life of love, because love really is what conjures up tomorrow. So there's your idea for today. All right, friends, what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. And as we shift gears here at New Church Live, what we do is we always come down on a nice little soft landing, so to speak. So the soft landing for today, we do a little prayer, a little meditation, and we say hi to folks on Blessing. We say hi to folks on social media, on Facebook. So what I ask you to do is just join me in getting a little breath. And listen to the prayer bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let me glance on over to here and give a cheery hello to folks. And again, I hope everyone's having a wonderful, amazing day ahead of them. I know I have a lot of good stuff today, which is great. Roland, great to see you, buddy. Good stuff. Great to see you. Great to see you this morning. Martha, good morning to you, and good stuff too. I am glad you're enjoying it. It was it's so fun to talk about. I don't know. I love that idea that love asks these great questions. Rita, happy spring. Amen to that, Rita. It wasn't yesterday out here in Philadelphia. It's like that tiny little taste of spring that is so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. All right, flipping over here onto New Church Live's Facebook page. See if we have any comments over there. We got Marcus saying good morning, and Marcus, as always, good morning to you, buddy. Wishing you all the best. All right, dear friends, God bless. Take care. Have a day conjuring up some beautiful tomorrows, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.